Hey everyone, this is Eric with a review on the MJX X600. If you guys do like this one, I included a link in the description down below. And if you guys want to fast forward to the flight footage, you can just go right there. And if you want to check out the footage from the camera, you can go to that time right there. This is a little FPV quadcopter. They actually sell this one without the camera as well. The only difference really is the no camera version comes with shorter landing gear. This is a C4008 camera. It's a little 720p Wi-Fi camera, and I'll go into how that works in just a minute. But it actually swivels, as you can see. It swivels, so depending if you want to get some shots downwards, or if you're going to be racing this thing, you might want to swivel it up. It's a pretty cool little camera and set up for less than $100. It's pretty amazing. It's a great quadcopter if you're not really sure if you want to get into FPV racing. Maybe you want to test it out on something really affordable. This is definitely a step up from the very popular the Syma X5 SW, which also has, it's the same Wi-Fi type camera, but this is only like, I believe, a 640p, and this one's going to give you 720p. So quite a bit more pixels. But it works the same way. Your phone's going to connect to the Wi-Fi that this is broadcasting. So what makes this quadcopter unique is they put 6 motors on there. Now, when I first saw this, I wasn't really sure, you know, is this going to be faster? Is it going to be more maneuverable? Is it going to make it fly weird? Because usually you only see 6 motors on the Hollywood type quadcopters that you see flying around. You know, they'll even put up to 8 motors to carry some of the really heavy DSLR cameras. But on a toy grade, I was really curious how it would handle. And I wasn't let down, not completely. It was very stable, extremely stable actually. One of the most stable quadcopters for this size. But it didn't make it a whole lot faster. And as far as weight goes, it could carry this camera no problem. I did attach a GoPro and it went up with the GoPro. The problem happens when you start descending. It starts getting speed wobbles and it'll wobble down and kind of bounce off the ground. And with the extra blades, it does make this a little bit harder to see when it gets further away from you. It just kind of turns into a little circle. And plus, it doesn't help that they made it black. A black quadcopter is very difficult to see, especially if you're flying anywhere near the trees, or if you're flying like a shaded area. This thing kind of blends in. So what I recommend doing is, if you just go to the store, get some of the really neon duct tape and tape that onto the arms of the quadcopter, give you a little bit more orientation. There are some pretty bright LED lights at the bottom, but during the day, these are not going to be very easy to see. So when it gets far away from you, as you can see, it's really hard to tell which way is forward. You do get the 2 lights in the front, but they are very dimmed. They're kind of tucked away in the body. So if this thing's pointed at you, it's really hard to see. One thing that I was really surprised at is how quiet this quadcopter is. I would think that adding 2 extra motors would make this a little bit louder, especially because they're gear driven as well. But no, this quadcopter is very stealthy. Even the look kind of looks like a B-2 stealth bomber or something like that. It does have this nice kind of a matte finish. Plastic, extremely rigid. This thing, I've crashed it not very hard, but I can tell that the landing gear, if something did break, it would be the landing gear, which is not that big of a deal because these are pretty easy to replace. But the arms are extremely rigid, and then this thing also does come with the blade guards if you wanted to put those on as well to protect it for beginner flyers. And the way the camera works, it works just like your router at home. It's going to broadcast a Wi-Fi signal. What you do is you download the MJX app on your phone. Then from your phone, you're going to connect to the Wi-Fi signal that this is outputting. And then once you do that, then once you get back in the app on your phone, you should be able to get a live feed from the camera straight to your phone. And you can see how all that looks in the video right here. Line of sight, this thing's going to get, I noticed, about 200 feet. And that's really going to depend on how many hotspots or how many routers there are. Because, you know, if you're in a busy area, maybe flying around like an apartment complex, you're going to have a lot of routers that might cut down your signal strength. So that's something to take in consideration. But 200 feet for this little Wi-Fi camera is not bad at all. And your transmitter is 2.4 gigahertz. You do get really great range. I took it out to about 300 feet, and at that point it was really hard to tell what direction the quadcopter was facing, but it didn't lose connection, so you definitely get good range with this transmitter. You do have your digital display, so you can see all of your trim inputs. If you wanted to switch your throttle over to your right side, you can do that. And then right here, you have your throttle limiter. So if you do have someone new, or if you're new yourself and you're flying this quadcopter, you can turn it all the way down to 0. And so when you take off, it's just gonna fly really gentle, kind of like a Cadillac. And you also get headless mode with this quadcopter. So to initiate headless mode, you have your function button up here. You're just gonna hold that down until you see the light flash on your quadcopter. Okay, so now you see it flashing. So now what headless mode means is no matter what direction the quadcopter is pointing, it's going to fly true to your control. So if I press forward now, even though the side is going this way, it's going to go forward. If I press back, it's going to come back towards me. So, you know, if you're too far away, you're not really sure what direction it's pointing, it doesn't matter. You just press back and it's going to fly back in your direction. And that's my review on the X600 quadcopter by MJX. If you guys do have any questions, please just leave them in the comments down below. If you found the video helpful, I always appreciate that thumbs up, and make sure to subscribe to keep up to date with my future reviews. Thanks, guys.